So got the car back. Work to this has been incredible. I'm just so happy and just so at awe about the work that's been done to this car since it's been in the shop. Shout out to Forever Fabrication for doing the work. I'm gonna put their information somewhere in this video so you can get their social media and you can get their website as well. If you're inside Minnesota, that's where they're located. It is totally worth having them doing work. My car, they're about 45 minutes to an hour to me, and it was worth going there every single time to get the work on this car done. So I'm gonna pop this hood open and we're gonna take a look at the work that's been done. So here we are, and first off, just the intercooler. So this is a proper V-mount from the intercooler all the way down to the radiator, and the position of it is just, this is exactly where I wanted the intercooler to be, somewhere just inside this particular area. It's stable too. We have 3 mounting points. We have port bar right here that they previously made, and they just made it even stronger now. And then we got 2 tabs off on the sides. This is actually where I wanted the brackets to be made for each side. So I'm happy that they did this as well. And then take a look at the engine mount. It just looks really nice. I'm gonna get this painted once I move on the driver's side as well. Really like how this is. And I feel like the engine was slightly lowered, but it doesn't seem like. I know the transmission slightly lowered as well, but just by the looks of it, like one of my biggest concerns was seeing if the mounts or anything about the engine was going to be like one of the lowest points. And as you can see, at least from the red mounts, it's not. I can definitely lower the car a little bit more than what this is right now. One of the problems that wasn't able to be fixed, at least worth the money wise, was making turbo manifold to fit. Now I personally knew that it wasn't going to fit because the turbo manifold was for an FD, S2000 wasn't going to work. So when I move, I will be getting a custom turbo manifold made, and because how it is packaged, turbos end up sitting slightly further ahead of the intake manifold, or right next to the front cover of the motor. I did forget to mention, we do have a plate here, a very solid plate, so we have air getting more focus on to the intercooler and the radiator. Did not make any plates on the corners just yet because we'll be having lines and I don't know where everything's gonna go, at least finalized anyway. This is just so incredible, man. Engine's high enough that I believe the alternator is gonna clear my steering rack as well. Everything that I talked about maybe like a year or 2 ago about how everything was going to get mounted up is just coming into reality, and it just blows me away about how much work that's been going into this. So I think I have everything I need to put the intake manifold on. I'm also going to be installing my fuel rail and these injector plugs as well. I don't know if they're called plugs, but they're adapters to fit injectors that I will be getting. And I think I need 2 right here, and then 4 goes into the intake manifold. I'm gonna grab some oil and lube up the O-rings before I start putting them in. So I put the first 2 plugs in, pretty easy. Just have to push them in once you put some oil on the ring. Take the tape off on the lower intake manifold. I honestly thought that plugs go to upper intake. You know, it just sits on the lower, so take the tape off on all 4. A little bit of oil and just put it on the ring. I think you can put petrol on this too, but I don't have any at the moment, so oil works. And you just press them in and you're good to go. Now it's time to put on the primary fuel rail. I think I can do this with one hand, probably. I don't think I can. I'm gonna finish getting this bolted down, find my Torx bit for it, and then after that I'm gonna get started on installing the upper intake manifold along with the fuel rail for that. We got the fuel rails on. Primary, secondary. Going to take off this tape from the lower intake manifold and start installing the upper intake. Almost ran into a day-ending problem with these O-rings. Now I need to install the intake manifold. Found them, ended up catching them right before I threw them in the bin. 1 O-ring per runner. So instead of having like a gas, these O-rings are getting used instead. Once I put these on, then we install the upper intake manifold. Almost thought that didn't fit. So I'm gonna put these on, take my time with them so they won't kink up, and then we can start putting the upper on. Got this new piece that replaces the original throttle body. This is a 13B to Bosch throttle body that I'm going to be installing. So I sold the original throttle body. I was having a little bit of issues with the cable from the S2000 to mate up with the 13B configure. It'd be a lot easier, and I gain a lot of benefit by going by wire set of cable. And I also sold my Haltech Elite 2000. We'll be getting a new Haltech in the next couple months or so. But right now, I'm going to install this. One thing I noticed is that the throttle body adapter is not made up to the throttle body spacer. This only works with the 13B throttle body. So I'm going to be selling this pretty soon because I can't use this anymore. Which sucks because I really like it. Waited a long time to get that part and now I can't use it. But anyway, I'm going to install this right now. Adapter piece is on. Another reason why I wanted to go drive-by-wire as well is that I can have cruise control. If I would have went drive-by cable, I would have to do some extra things. Probably would have had to add the cruise control box somewhere that I took off. That's probably in that corner somewhere, and install it back in the car. Didn't want to do that. I'm going to be getting the throttle body soon for the end of August. That's what I'm planning on. I'm going to go look back in the corner, see what else I need to do. Next I'm going to do, install the alternator somewhere back here. There we go. Good thing I don't need this. So in case I haven't mentioned this before, went with a side mounted alternator. Reason why is that unlike the RX-7 owners, S2000 owners, we have an electric power steering, so we don't need extra pulleys. I do want AC. I have something in mind on getting AC to the car and still only keeping 2 pulleys, which is the crank and the alternator. So doing some research on it. Gonna cross that bridge when I get to it. Trying to install this alternator right now and running with a bit of clearance issue. Not in this part right here, but where this bolt on the top part is hitting. So I'm trying to move this alternator up just a little bit, and I'm kind of running into that bolt. I had 2 ideas. I can either notch the bolt a little bit, make it more flat, or I can notch the alternator so I can get the clearance that I need from this part, because at this point I come into contact with the steering rack boot. So take the alternator back off, start notching it back a little bit. Turn this back out, and thought about it. I'm actually gonna notch this bolt as well so I can get the correct clearance. Get the clearancing for the bolt and the alternator just enough so that I can pull the alternator up as much as I can. By the looks of it, I don't think I'm going to run into the steering rack, at least the boot anyway. But I'm gonna do a quick test. Turn the steering wheel. If I hear any noise coming from the steering rack, that means that I'm coming into contact with the alternator. I think I'm going to call it for this video. If you were here when this car first started off, when I didn't have any of this stuff in here, it's just been a journey. I'm going to keep going, clean out the back of the garage, but right now, I think I'm done. I'm just going to spend some time looking at this and just looking at the work and done to it, and just admire all the work that's been done.